Good morning friends. Right now I am at Pandu at cinema hall area. So all these rickshaws are standing. So at this rickshaw stand I am trying to do a small exercise with aperture priority, which is the most useful factor for depth of field. First I will take a picture with 1.8. As you have earlier told about it, that when you are taking a picture at 1.8, so the depth of field, the range goes very shallow and most of the areas are going out of focus because the preliminary zone of that wheel will come into focus and rest of the things will go off. That is the beauty of depth of field when you are managing that particular thing. But when we are going little bit up with the exposure and putting the aperture at 5.6, so I set it at 5.6 and take a picture, and what will come, that I'll let you know. At 5.6, the exposure which I got is basically with that wheel and some more detail to the area which is actually making the image visible and more expressive, which is there in the frame. But that is not ultimate. The ultimate thing which I am going to tell you is to cover the whole range from this particular wheel to that tea shop. Everything should be in focus. How it is possible? It's possible only when I am going to change the aperture and increase the depth of field. So I am increasing the aperture at f16 and take a picture from focusing this particular wheel, and it will go up to that auto stand and also the tea shop, so that everything will be visible in this shot. I'll try that. Yes, you can see in the frame that all the area which is there in the frame has covered the wheel, the mid zone and also the extreme end. So everything is in focus. In the practicals of our chapter Depth of Field Part 2, I have taken a wheel of a rickshaw which is into focus, and I have followed it with a range of exposure variations, and that variation has given a new feel to the image, and that image will give a different look as well. Why it is important? Because depth of field gives importance to your subject, and with this use of aperture, all these exposures have come to different variations and given different feel to the image. As you have noticed, I was taking pictures with this 50 mm lens and covering the focusing zone from these wheels to the extreme end of this area. So I experimented it with 1.8, 5.6, f16. The result is that when the variations come, your exposures will also vary, and with that variation of exposure with aperture, you can adjust your depth of field, and that is a vital point. And while adjusting that particular depth of field, you also have to keep in mind the distance of the subject, where you are standing, where is your camera, and from the camera the distance of that particular object which is there, which is being photographed, and also the follow-up of that area. So if you can follow that in one go and manage it, because the distance plays a very vital role apart from aperture in depth of field. In depth of field, what is important is distance, then comes aperture, and also the ISO with the light setting. So that is all about depth of field, and the variations will give you good pictures as well. So with this practice, let's use the parameters of depth of field to make our pictures better.